Hi, welcome to Tally Alley, where we do dumb stuff. I'm Evan.
And I'm Haley.
And welcome to Movie Alley Week 7.
And this week, we're talking about 21 Bridges, which we saw just a few days ago.
So. Yeah. And thankfully it finally came out, because I felt like it had been out for years, but Haley kept reminding me that no, the release date just kept getting pushed back.
At one point, I swear, was scheduled for an August release date, and then I really feel like I saw it coming out in October, and then it was finally has come out in November. So I don't really know why they kept pushing the release date back, because I feel like it's now come out at a time when there's a lot of other big movies coming out.
There's a decent number of movies
And
out.
I don't really know why they ended up pushing it back so far, because I don't really
like
know.
Knives Out has a lot of hype, so I don't know how it'll... I'm sure it'll do fine with Knives Out being out there. They're kind of different movies.
Yeah, and like Frozen came out and stuff, which is a kids movie, so it's not really necessarily the same
Let's
market.
be real,
but there's
though.
a lot of...
Frozen 1 came out 6 years ago. All the people who were kids when it first came out are still going to go see Frozen 2.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people are taking their kids to the movie, and after being at the theater and watching people buy snacks to take their kids to go see Frozen, when we weren't even going to see Frozen,
oh my gosh.
No one else is going to see a movie in the next couple weeks, because they literally were spending $50 to $70 at the concession stand for their 4-year-old to have their own popcorn. And I buy popcorn when I take kids to the movie, but I buy a big popcorn and a big drink, and everyone shares, because I am not spending $12 per kid on a snack pack.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Not worth it. But 21 Bridges was super good.
Very good. I was kind of expecting it to be really good, so I wasn't like super surprised.
I was a little less expecting it to be great, because of after the Russo brothers, they kind of...
It being pushed back so much didn't make me have a lot of faith in it. Maybe that kind of made me almost worried more about the movie. Yeah. But honestly, I've never seen a bad Chadwick Boseman movie, so I was kind of like, he's in it, it's going to be good. He played an amazing role.
He was phenomenal in his role. He definitely was the star of the film. He did such an amazing job. Actually, the kid who...
The guy who played Michael.
Yeah, the guy who played Michael, who was one of the, bad guys in the film, was... Which, I guess, no quotes. He was a bad guy.
Technically.
But, he
was
played
a bad person, but he wasn't a
phenomenal role.
Yeah.
He did such a good job playing his side of it. And
they played off of each other very, very well. The energy just kind of flowed between them, and there wasn't anything where it looked like someone was having to force some extra energy to balance a scene out. It just bounced off of each other so well.
I do think they fell into the thing where they kind of gave us a lot of the very pivotal lines and great scenes
maybe a bit early
in the trailers. Because some of the great lines that I was really ready for them to slam hard in the movie didn't actually seem as powerful as they had in the trailer when I first watched them. So I don't know if that was a post thing after.
There's a real bring this man a shield moment, It's kind of we already know what's happening.
Yeah, well, because there's this big thing in the trailer where it was him talking about the island. There's this many bridges. There's this many tunnels.
Well, they didn't have epic trailer music happening when he said it in the movie.
But that's the thing. They made it such a huge moment in the trailer.
It was a big moment.
And it kind of but it fell a little flat compared to the
trailer. But I think we had
so,
plenty of other big lines to kind of balance it, though.
It was really good. And it was a really nice storyline just in general, talking about this kid who his dad had passed away in the line of duty, and then him kind of following in his dad's footsteps and maybe seeming to be a little aggressive in his job. But yet when you actually came down to it in this
if you look at his statistics of why he was in with an IA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're talking about his statistics and the situations in which it happened, you realize he might seem aggressive, but really it's not that bad, because I think it was he had shot 7 people in 9 years or something, and it's but it was in one of them, he was no, but it's 8, but one of them survived or something something. So they're trying to make him out to be this really aggressive, he's the guy who kills cop killers. That's his thing. But he really isn't all that trigger happy. Everyone kept saying oh, he's just going to shoot on sight. That's what he does. But it's he really isn't anything like that.
And of course the film, which they kind of allude to it in the trailer pretty heavily, that it deals with some dirty cops. And so in the situation, they actually wanted him on the job because they were hoping he would shoot first.
Yeah.
And so seeing him kind of be that's how they had portrayed him, and we're kind of pushing everyone else thought he was this trigger happy cop, but when it really came down to it, he really didn't want to take a shot until he knew for sure what was going on, and his goal wasn't to shoot first.
I mean, he told, like, literally in the movie, he told, like, everyone not to shoot at all.
Yeah.
Like, at the guy.
It was really fascinating how it was dealt with, and there was, like, a lot of people that died in the movie.
Yeah,
like,
there was plenty of gunfights.
But, it wasn't something that's...
A little bit of gore. A little bit of extra gore on a couple things, but not too bad.
Yeah. And it was really interesting because, like, I mean, you kind of had hints and, like, suspicions that, like, maybe these people were bad or maybe these people were bad. But at the same time, they did a really good job on some of them, like, making you a little unsure of exactly who was on the bad guys' team and who was, like, really a good cop.
I thought, maybe I just happened to pick up on it, but I did think they maybe, one of my only knocks on the movie is they maybe left too many clues laying around.
Yeah.
As to who, like, how many people were bad. There just seemed to be, especially when we were talking about our money launderer guy towards the midway through the movie, or a little before midway.
Yeah.
There was just a handful of too many clues that they just left out for you to figure out who was the bad guys with some of their word choice on it. And then even at the beginning of the movie, there was some things that if you didn't get it from that, as soon as you met this money laundering guy, they kind of just meshed, and it was like you're going to know who it is before halfway through the movie. But it's not a big enough deal for me to dislike the movie at all. It just made it a little predictable by the end. Yeah. But I was a little happier. They kind of redeemed themselves. There was a couple characters that kind of flew under the radar, even with all of those things, that made you kind of go, oh, cool, there's still a little surprise to it.
They did, I think, wanted it to be very obvious that this wasn't just like, oh, they're going after drug dealers. Like, they wanted it to be clear from the beginning that there were dirty cops involved in this situation, and that was the real game that no one else knew was going on, but you as the audience kind of were getting those clues ahead of time because of the scenes we were seeing that our main character wasn't actually seeing.
Yeah.
And it was really a really nice setup, and how they kind of played all their characters kind of on, like,
pretty solid sequencing of the story. I almost might have made it a little bit slower paced.
Yeah.
Maybe just a bit at the beginning. At the beginning, it's just kind of hit. Then through the middle, it kind of slows down a bit, which it was good. It was more plot based in the middle, but I just felt like maybe the beginning was a little too fast.
I think my complaint would be that they did make such this big idea about closing the island down, and then overall we really never saw, which, I mean, I know our bad guys, like, knew that the island was closed, but there was never, like, any
tried
hint.
To leave,
like, even
the
before
island.
They closed the island, there was no, like, really hint of them immediately trying to leave the state. Like, they were still going to be trying to money launder this money.
Well, they explained that they had to, though.
Yeah.
They did give a reason for why, they have to be there.
Yeah.
But I still think,
like, because it was this huge deal, like, because that's the whole concept of the movie, is 21 bridges. And that's, like, the whole concept is, like, there's 21 bridges in and out of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And they make this big deal, but, like, there's never really any hint of these guys trying to leave the island at all.
Yeah, I mean, they did explain it, though, which I was okay with, but I kind of wanted to see, like, a car chase or something, like, they tried to leave and then they got away or something, but...
Which, when there was the situation with all these dirty cops and stuff like that, that does come into the thing of it was kind of hard for there to be any kind of car chase, in a way, because, like, the dirty cops were kind of always a little bit of a step ahead of our good guys. Well, and they just
wanted to kill them.
Yeah, and so they were kind of just shooting immediately. Yeah. Like, they weren't in the mood to chase anyone. Like, there was helicopters shooting at one point.
Yeah.
Like, it got very intense for this poor one guy, and it just, I don't know. It was really cool. And
Michael's character was pretty deep.
And the backstory they had with that, I wish the other guy, who I can't remember his name, the other, like, bad guy with Michael.
I don't know.
The actual
was
bad
a
guy.
Bad
he was
guy.
the guy who played the bad guy in American Assassin, too.
Yeah, he also played one of the bad guys in the Maze Runner movie.
Yeah, so he's always a bad guy.
Third one?
Maybe.
Was it third one?
But he I think would have had a very good backstory. I can't remember his name right now, but he would have had a very cool backstory, I think, to get into a little more. And I think that is something I wish they had done, was they kind of showed us a little bit of Michael's backstory, because he was the, like, guy we kind of got to see more
we were supposed to sympathize with Michael.
Yeah.
That was kind of the point of the movie. We were supposed to sympathize with Michael, because our detective started to sympathize with Michael.
But at the same time, like, we never really got a great amount of backstory on either of these guys, and I think that would have been something really cool to see, because you could definitely see that these guys had, like, a very complicated history, that, not necessarily that
we knew just enough about them to understand that these guys were not going to split up and give up on each other.
Well, and Michael especially, like, his intention was never to hurt anyone, and you could even see the other guy tried his hardest to not make Michael make any shots. Like, he didn't want Michael to be shooting.
He actually... literally, in the first scene where they kill all the cops, that, like, we know that happens in the trailer, like, Michael, I think, kills, like, one guy, but he killed a guy that was trying to, like, kill him, and it wasn't a cop.
Yeah.
Like, Michael literally, I think, only killed in the movie out of self-defense, and whenever he had to fight a cop, he literally shot him in, like, his hand.
Yeah.
Instead of going for the kill. Like, Michael literally never killed someone that wasn't trying to attack him.
The other guy was very much like, there was even a comment made towards the beginning of the movie where he said something like, you don't shoot, or something like that. He made some sort of comment because it's like he didn't want Michael to have that on him because he knew it would affect him differently.
A little later he had even said, like, Michael was like, this is on us, blah blah blah, and he was like, no, I killed the cops, you were just there.
So it was a very interesting way of handling it, because you really did sympathize with them.
It gave nice depth to the character, and it made it a little harder to actually, like, hate that guy, whereas everything about his character is very easy to be like, oh, this guy's just a pure clean-cut bad guy, that's not our good guy, we don't like him, we want him to die or get caught or whatever. But then his kind of, like, protectiveness of Michael and stuff kind of makes him more... it's easier to empathize with him and be like, he's just trying to look out for Michael. Yeah,
because they were definitely bad guys, because they were going there to, like, steal drugs from people.
For a drug dealer.
But at the same time, they walked into a situation they weren't expecting, and they were definitely not expecting to have to shoot these guns, but they did kind of go in with automatic weapons, so they were prepared, but at the same time, they weren't expecting to have to hurt anyone.
I think the difference is they weren't expecting to have to shoot cops, they were expecting to kill other drug dealers.
Yeah. So it kind of made you sympathize with them a little more.
A little bit.
What would you rate this one?
I give it like a 4.2.
4.2?
I think it's a very great movie. Pretty good ideas behind it, but I think...
it's still an action movie.
It's kind of a clean-cut cop movie in the way of, like... bad guy with good morals. You want to sympathize with him, while our good guy... oh, well, he's fighting against his own team at the same time. You don't really know. He's almost on the bad guy's team at the end because of how much he cares. But, you know, so it's kind of predictable, kind of similar basic storyline, but it was very well executed.
Yeah, and they definitely had a very decent budget for this movie. They actually did a really good job with how it was done. I think I would probably just give it a 4. Because it was definitely kind of just an action movie, so kind of, you know...
it was a great action
good guy always win kind of thing.
Movie,
yeah, it was a very good action movie, and I liked the concept of it taking place of really only like 6 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
this film took place over a very short amount of time, and it was actually a pretty long movie.
You didn't have a lot of time jumps. Yeah. It was a lot of just, this is how the time is rolling, they're running, they're fighting, blah, 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 there's plot, they're talking.
Because, like, the break-in happened right around midnight or something,
well, let's say this.
The last shooting, like, happened at, like, 6 a.m.
It took place over about 9 hours because there was a time jump at the end.
Yes.
But the main probably 90...
the island was shut down for like 7 hours or
95% of the movie was in a 6-hour window, and then there was a little bit... the last plot thing that happens at the very end of the movie is like 3 hours later. But it still was a very condensed... like time set that this events were taking place, so it was really cool to think of like this is just happening after.
So it was really cool, and I liked that concept. I'm very into films that
have an active clock.
Yeah, kind of have an active clock or take place over just a very short amount of time, because I think in ways that can be a lot harder because it very much limits the areas you're able to go, which of course they were in a city, so that's a little different. But films that take place over a day or 2 days or something like that, typically a lot of times don't have you're not like going around the world and showing a lot of different locations to be very interesting. You're kind of limited to the type of space you're around to be in, and I think that's really fascinating to deal with in films. So
so overall, great movie. Would definitely go see it. I don't know, I loved it. It was good. Alright, so that's it for Movie Alley Week 7, and nothing. We know we'll be getting more movies, seeing some more movies, but we don't know exactly what.
Yep.
And I guess happy late Thanksgiving again, or is this too late?
It's kind of a little late
Whatever.
for that.
Well, yeah. So anyways, cut. Bang.